blind tasting, and we're actually going to do these every month. And it's kind of an educational, but as well giving you a good workout. So today it's about HIIT training. So first off, what does it stand for? High intensity interval training. So who's trained like that or knows what it is? You've done that before, so you kind of know. Okay, good. So first off, I'll teach you what it is, but secondly, I'll teach you how to do it most efficiently for yourself, because there are little guidelines to help you get your best workout as well when you're doing HIIT training. Different styles of HIIT training. All HIIT training is getting your heart rate up. So you can do anything using your body weight. You can use kettlebells, you can use dumbbells, you can use machines, you can use any gym equipment that gets your heart rate up, whether it's a treadmill or an elliptical or a stair climber, doesn't matter. As long as you're pushing the heart rate, and because it's interval, you bring it up, bring it down, up and down, up and down. As we do the workout tonight, I'll show you how that works. I'll have the timer set. You guys can follow the timer. We do a lot of HIIT training here, but we're just trying to take it a little further and educate people a little bit better on how to get your best HIIT workouts and the dangers involved in HIIT training as well, and things to be aware of. Some of the benefits of HIIT training. So HIIT training is the best bang for your buck. So Tracy and I are business owners, customer moms, plus we'd like to have a little balance in our life and, you know, do stuff for ourselves. So we don't work out 2 hours a day. We like to keep our workouts very, very efficient. And that's why we're trying to share, you know, our knowledge and share what we do to others so that you guys can get the same benefits. So best fat burning, it also is the best way to fat burn and protect your muscle. It's also very good at strengthening your heart, because your heart is muscle as well. If you want to strengthen your heart, you got to push it, right? But not too much. We'll go into that later. If you're into sports, it helps with your athletic performance as well. Moving furniture helps you to be able to do stuff like that. So everyday life as well. Skiing, you know, quickly running over to get something and coming back. What you'll notice from HIIT training is you'll run to get something, come back, and you'll recover faster. So you won't be for too long. Just a few minutes, right? So that's another thing it does for you. Another thing, if you do weight training and HIIT training, it actually increases your growth hormone. So if anybody knows much about growth hormone, that's your youthful drug, right? What your body produces naturally. So as we age, our growth hormone levels drop down. So if you can keep your growth hormone levels up, that definitely benefits you for the results you'll get for, you know, your vitality and just how good you feel. So growth hormone is important to try to keep it up as well. So you can get faster, you can get stronger, you can have more endurance. So lots of reasons that you should HIIT train. You can do it at the gym, you can do it at home. We offer classes here that we do a lot of HIIT training, but again, we're still trying to educate people a little bit more, because sometimes we teach in a class and you hear somebody visiting and you're like, hey, as far as I know, HIIT training, you shouldn't be able to talk, right? So there's two ways I'm going to show you how to make sure you're working hard enough, but also to make sure you're not working too hard, because there's a fine line, right? So there's perceived exertion, but there's also heart rate. So simple stuff, you can have a basic heart rate monitor like these guys, these are cheap, or you can have your fancy Fitbits, or, you know, whichever ones are out there, I don't know. These are really handy to have, and I do recommend starting with them. For myself, like, I did it for a while, and you have to have it right up as close as you can to your heart, and I found that I kind of got claustrophobic with it, because it is supposed to be... Yeah, well, no, I didn't find it move, because I actually stuck it under my bra strap, but I had trouble breathing. So once you know what it feels like to get your heart rate in that area, then you can kind of go more by your perceived exertion rather than having to watch it. But if you have the fancy ones that take your heart rate just those ones are handy too. These are the most accurate, but the watches now have come so far that they're getting more and more accurate. Or you can do the good traditional, check your heart rate, right? So these are recommended to find out your heart rate zone. So I just did a quick little chart. So it's easy for you to figure this out on your own. So what this chart shows you is what you do is you take 220 minus your age, and that gives you your maximum heart rate. With your maximum heart rate, you then take 75% of it to 90%. So if you are new to HIIT training, I would recommend starting in the 75% range, and then going by your age is giving you kind of an idea of where you want to be for your HIIT training on the low end. On the high end, so now this number is quite important as well, because if you're pushing yourself, say you're 30 years old and you're pushing yourself at 180 and you're like, I'm killing it, and you're going crazy, but you check your heart rate, you could actually hurt yourself keeping your heart rate in the 180 zone. If your heart rate shouldn't be there. So there is ways to find out more specifically, because some 30 years olds could be at 180, and that's where you do a VO2 test. So VO2 testing can be done. We actually have a guy that comes here and does testing for us every 3 months. Or he's out of Red Deer, or those places in Calgary you can do it. And they put you all hooked up with an oxygen mask, a heart rate, and you do the walking, running, until you're ready to fall off the treadmill. It's a pretty tough test to do. So that's the way you can find it exactly for you. But even talking to this fellow, he says you're pretty close to this range anyway. So again, this is pretty safe to follow when you're looking for your heart rate. So dangers of HIIT training. So there are things to be aware of. If you have heart disease, high blood pressure, arthritis, or over 60, those are reasons right away that you should go and just get your doctor's approval. Just make sure everything's okay. Obviously, if you've been working out for years and you're quite healthy, it's a little bit different, but for people new in it, that's a good idea. We talked about your heart rate too high, and what can happen is you can injure yourself. You can put your body into a stress mode, and when your body's in a stress mode, it commonly won't drop fat very well. It's stressed out, so it's going to hold on to the fat and protect you, right? Kind of the feast or famine, right? You get stressed out, your body holds on to everything for you. The last reason is it can cause injuries. So that's something to also be aware of, because you're not trying to hurt yourself. We do see as well, when we have people coming in for HIIT training, and they're working hard, but they're doing squats and they're wobbling all over the place and they're not moving correctly. And as trainers here, we really try to focus on proper mobility, and commonly, because of sitting at a desk, sitting in your car for extended periods, and just our North American lifestyle, commonly our hips get too locked up, and then we start putting all the tension in your knees. And over time, the repetitive jumping and impact, that can really injure your knees, your hips, your lower back as well. And those are quite common injuries we see. So little things we do recommend is we try to educate people as much as we can in the class environment. So we always tell people, listen to your body. Sharp pains in the wrong areas, whether it's hips, knees, ankles, listen to that. Here you can talk to any of us and we'll help you out and give you suggestions. We do a lot of sitting on the ball, foam rollering on your muscles, your legs, your glutes, and that will loosen it up so you can have a bit more mobility and get the most out of your HIIT training. As far as any other dangers, those are kind of the most common ones we will see from HIIT training. Any questions so far? Okay. So, how many times a week should you do it? So, it's actually only 1 to 2 times a week. So you shouldn't be doing it 5 days a week. We see it where if people push too much, they start fading down, they don't get the results, or they get an injury. So it is pretty important to kind of stay within that a little bit. 2 times a week we see optimum results with people. And even the way we try to set up our classes with the schedule is to try to accommodate for that. So we encourage like weight training and then HIIT training and weight training and HIIT training. Or going for a walk. Like, it's beautiful now, get outside. Go on your bike, have a nice bike ride, just being active in other ways. So it is one of those things that too much is not good for you. So don't pop too many pills kind of thing, right? Perceived exertion. So perceived exertion, if you can talk, and as a trainer we use this a lot, if people are working out or have them running and they're chatting away with their friends, you need to run a little bit harder. So if you can talk, your heart rate's not getting into this zone. Your heart rate would be more in the, they call it the kind of the fat burning zone, which is a little lower, and that's where you would keep your heart rate when you're doing a steady state, so going maybe for a walk or a light jog. But if you're outside and you decide you want to do the HIIT training, then you turn it to a run and then a walk, a run and then a walk, and back and forth. Okay? So HIIT training, we commonly do a Tabata format. Tabata format is 8 rounds, 20 seconds work, 10 seconds rest. And kind of the easiest formula is however long you work for, you do, so if it's 30 seconds work, it's 15 seconds rest. So you're always resting about half the time of your work, right? So if it's a minute work, it's 30 seconds rest. Okay, so that's kind of an easy way to, help you understand. Sometimes though, like for myself, I'll do sprint HIIT training. I need like a minute and a half rest, and I sprint for 30 and then I need a long rest. And that's me again, listening to my perceived exertion. So I know I can't get up and sprint as hard as I did the time before, so I need to recover and bring my heart rate back down. Again, if you have the heart rate monitor, then you can see, you want to bring your heart rate to 60%. I didn't write that one down, but again, it's easy to figure out. You just take your little formula and figure out what 60% is. Once your heart rate comes into that 60% zone, that's your resting zone, then you bring it back up. And that's still not real low, right? So you're not completely recovered, you're just on the verge of recovery. Okay? Any questions? Everybody is clear, you ready? Let's work out. Let's do this. Okay, so if anybody does have a heart rate monitor, or if you want to put it on, feel free to put it on. And I will put you through it'll be about a 20-minute workout, and then we'll do a stretch after. So what I'll get you to do is just put your mats to the side. Don't worry about cleaning them just yet. You guys hopefully aren't sweating yet.